you're going to estimate that the current sum total causes are going to lead to. Yeah, there's a lot of scenarios where you could easily see strife between the U.S. and China, and that could be rapidly um, escalated. But I mean, this would be like a multiple truth hypothesis where there'd be so many uncertainties that you would have to give some sort of estimated value to estimate to monetize those uncertainties, and that would probably be the best way to go about that also.
Yeah, I'll just play a clip of Claire's comments because I was asking her about what she thought about the persecution of Muslims in China and how that, the whole Chinese being atheist thing seems to go against her whole no hide laws are required for successful empire bullshit. So yeah, it's not very long. I'll just play it here real quick and we can listen in and talk about it after. But I thought it was very revealing of certain perspective.
I am saying I don't know and hope not, obviously. I don't think they're crazy enough to drop bombs because they will destroy themselves in the process. China holds a lot of dollar debt. China could dump all their dollar holdings in one day and that would sucker punch the US. They are just hesitating because they are going to lose money in the process. But losing money is cheap at twice the price. The rest of the world would think China has done the world a favor because so many countries have been victims of US foreign policy, including NATO members. They might not trust the Chinese, but they sure as hell hate America and its crazed global homo and its mad dog president. China will emerge from this crisis with its reputation enhanced. The only apology they could be making is OMG. We are so sorry. We value our people, which is why we pulled out all the stops to save them from the virus. You guys hate your people and don't care if they die because you regard them as not economically productive and a burden on the state. You only went through the motions of lockdown and now it seems you have destroyed yourselves over nothing. It is like a rich man saying he will get on a plane and fly first class, not knowing the people who try to follow him will end up being stowaways in the undercarriage and freeze to death before they get to the destination. We are the people who flew first class without even thinking about it, and you guys were the stowaways who should have stayed home. And all the West can say to the Chinese is OMG, look what you made us do. It's all your fault. For geopolitical reasons, China will gain more influence in Australasia. When the American empire implodes, ex-NATO members will move towards a rapprochement with Russia and China while the Americans lie in a darkened room nursing their hangover. The people who see the light first will have the most prestige. I am moving towards that light, and invite you to follow me. Whatever you think of the Chinese, they live under a system and a tradition that sees the imperative of correcting their mistakes as soon as possible. China is the oldest empire in the world. What the West thinks it did as regards the separation of the church and state, the Chinese did centuries before them. Britain will be piggy in the middle because it is the country between America and the European continent. I suppose Canada will always be the backyard of America unless it finds a strong leader brave enough to defy America.
Well, there we go. I don't know if you got a chance to listen to all that, but yeah. So, Claire thinks China did nothing wrong and that all the countries will be looking to kiss China's ass once America implodes. What do you think about that, David?
I'm not sure. I mean, I don't think that's likely to see armed conflict between the West and China, but China might demonstrate military strength and increase its territorial power or control over its doing what it wants in its own territory, regardless of the international community, just because we have a decrease in globalism currently that and the economic warfare that certainly there's a lot of methods that China could use, as could the U.S. to escalate tension. It could be things like oil sanctions against Iran, military control over sea space, and all these various different things, and things like the economic factors of patents and intellectual property and just the manufacturer base and all these things that he's saying, like, yes, the dependency on a well-functioning China directly now affects your life in the West. That if China's not functioning well, it's going to affect your ability to live your life as you currently do under your standard, in your ease of getting the products that you have at the prices that you get them. So, it's possible we'll emerge from this and the supply chain will be benefited and improved. That a lot of oil and gas is wasted in the supply chain, and shipping things all over the world is because of cheap oil may not be the best method, and there might be revisions to the supply chain. That's extremely important. That's the science I study sometimes. You're related to civil engineering, the more industrial operations, but I have a lot of friends in that field, and I'm always thinking about, because I'm part of the Engineering Society of Detroit, all of these processes for the various manufacturing facilities to do these things.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, what would the probability be that various corporations would shift their manufacturing base out of China? And then if you're going to couple that with China continuing its territorial expansion, is Taiwan part of China? Is Tibet part of China, etc.? So it's leaving less and less countries available to export that manufacturing to that aren't under China's jurisdiction. So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the standard of living in the West is largely due to the manufacturing base in China. I mean, look at most consumer products, they say made in China. I think that's the majority of them there. So if that changes, and it's looking like they've had to re-lock down some places in China. Have you been following that? Like, I've noticed that there's been some sort of violent eruptions between protesters and police, and also between police, because people, I don't know exactly what it is, but there seems to be some civil unrest in China. And also there's talk about shifting the manufacturer base to different countries. It'll be interesting to see whether this is just empty words or if they're actually going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that I'd mentioned to you in the message that I was remembering when you mentioned that the protests and opening up, and then some of the use of Nazi imagery